Hello and welcome to the Goon and Talk, back again with you guys for another show, for another episode of our Raw Reaction preview series, meshed together with our expert members show, in which we look ahead, and I'll be looking ahead. I say we because I'm joined now, as try my best to be joined every single week to preview the next game with 2 or 3 of our expert members, and that is no different today. So let's see who they are and crack on with today's show. I'm joined by Raheel. How you doing, mate? Are you well?
Yeah, all good, Tam. How are you doing? Thanks for having me on.
No problem at all. Yeah, very good. Thank you. Very good. Zameer, always a pleasure, mate.
Yeah, good to see you again, Tom. Nice to have you on, Raheel. Look forward to it.
Same here, mate.
Awesome stuff. So we're going to get the guys' thoughts ahead of a tough fixture against Manchester City, in which Arsenal didn't do the best job of preparing themselves for in terms of midweek, didn't manage to pick up the win against Benfica. But Raheel, do you think that result is going to linger on the players' minds at all going into this?
Well, I hope not, because like you mentioned, wasn't the best performance. I guess getting an away goal wasn't the worst result, a 1-1 draw. But against Leeds, we looked really, really fluid, really good going forward. We still have a couple of defensive issues, but yeah, this is a completely different game. So I really hope that Leeds performance comes in on Sunday and not the Benfica one. Because, I mean, it was the same team, but it seemed like there were completely different 11 players on that pitch. So let's hope it's not the same as the Benfica one, and rather than the Leeds one.
Yeah, we're more hoping for a more fluid performance. I feel like to get a fluid performance, though, Zameer, it's going to take a little bit of tweaking with the lineup. We saw the same team played against Benfica as we did against Leeds, and it looked a little bit tired, a little bit static. And whilst we did create chances, it didn't. Especially towards the end of the game, we kind of killed it off ourselves with the late substitutes and the tiring legs. So, do you expect many changes going into Sunday?
I don't, actually, and that's one of the things that Arteta is trying to do. I think he's trying to keep a consistent back four. I think he's trying to also play Aubameyang back into form. I know Aubameyang missed a couple of games. He scored a hat trick, then missed a couple of sitters in midweek. So I think he's going to keep persisting with Aubameyang to see if he can't get him firing consistently. But overall, I don't expect a lot of changes. Maybe 1 or 2 tired legs.
Yeah, I think that there's the kind of balance that we talk about with rotation is always that you don't want to make too much, but it is important to make some. And you see that with the big teams like Man City. They've got obviously a very deep squad, but they still do rotate players in and out to keep people as fresh as feasibly possible. Zameer, I feel like you're going to say something. Go on, sir.
Yeah, that's why we were all surprised midweek, right? I think myself, I expected Lacazette to come in. I expected Pepe to come in. I expected Emile Smith-Rowe to get a break because I felt he would be really suited to play against Man City at the weekend. But now, as you'll see in my lineup, I don't have him on because I feel he's tired. And we have a tough run of fixtures coming up with Leicester and Burnley and Liverpool and Spurs. I mean, I just felt if he rotated midweek, we'd be better set up for this game. But I mean, let's see what happens.
Yeah, it's going to be one that's really kind of hard to look at, and with the most optimistic glasses on, it's still hard to kind of see Arsenal coming out of anything from it because of how good Manchester City are. Hello, chat box. Good to have you in here this afternoon. Good morning, wherever you are in the world, of course. Let's see what some of you guys are saying. Jack Webb is very, very confident, saying that good morning, Tom. We're going to win 3-0. David Blashik says, I stupidly think we are going to win. Hello, Pablo. Good to have you in here. Kian says, get Gabby Martinelli on the pitch for tomorrow. We're going to go through some of the guys' thoughts on lineups very soon. Steve Stone says, positivity is required. Please, gang. All the talk for tomorrow's game is depressing. Yeah, there's a lot of people that aren't too positive going into the game. I mean, Raheel, I kind of have sympathy for people that are a little bit apprehensive going into the game because City have been exceptionally strong this season.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I can see like you put out a few positive comments, and it's nice to read that because I myself am not that positive. I'm being realistic here because, like you mentioned, City are on a 17 game unbeaten run, which is
winning
incredible.
streak.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Winning 17. I mean, I hope we get that in the whole season because the way things are going,
Yeah.
it doesn't look like that. But it's the fact that we're so inconsistent and the fact that City have been so consistent. I mean, I hope I could generate some form of positivity, but I unfortunately don't see us getting much from the game. But it is a game of football, and stranger things have happened. So I can kind of maybe just grab onto that little bit of hope and hope that we can at least get a result. I mean, and the fact that
is a
we
result
haven't-
for you a performance as well? Like,
Sorry?
we could lose the game, but is a result for you still a good performance in the game?
Oh yeah, definitely. Where we are in the season, right? Because let's be honest here. This is a transitional season. For me, I've written it off in the Premier League because I don't think we'll make the top 4. Top 6 is even a bit difficult at this point in time, given the teams around us that have games in hand and are playing well. So it's going to be very, very difficult. So performance will be a really big factor for me. So tomorrow, all I'm looking at is more of a performance rather than a result. I mean, most teams are going to lose or against City, so it's not the worst thing in the world to lose against City. But we also have and the fact that we haven't gone through the Benfica tie will also be playing on the manager's mind, on the players' minds. So thinking ahead, because that is for me, it's a more realistic chance of getting into the Champions League through the Europa League rather than the league itself. So let's see. I want to see a good performance. I want to see the performance we saw against Leeds and not against Benfica. So it'll be very, very interesting to see the lineups, which I'm sure we will discuss in a few minutes.
We will indeed. Should I say a quick hello to people in the chat once again? Eli, thank you for tuning in for your first live show. Intellectual Investor, Danielle, Jack, Pablo, Steve, Kian. The Grand Duke says City to win a tight game, but on the plus side, I know nothing and I am always wrong. So there you go. It's all sorted because the Grand Duke says we're going to lose. So clearly we must be able to get away. I mean, Zameer, worst case scenario, Arsenal lose this game, right? Do you think if Arsenal were to go into this game, say it doesn't go too well, we end up with a similar kind of score that we saw against Man City at home in the League Cup quarter-final earlier on in the season, which I think there was a lot of kind of mitigating circumstances like Runnelson's mistake and Foden's offside goal, which then killed the game off completely. And obviously that led to the fourth goal eventually going in. And we looked quite good at 1-1 and we looked like the side that was most likely going to score the third goal of the game. But worst case scenario, we come out of this result and we lose. What do you think is kind of the mature, level-headed reaction from the fan base that it should be after such a poor result if it is turned out that way?
No, I don't think there's going to be a mature, level-headed response.
That's why you come here.
No, so I think, Tom, what's important is how do we lose, right? If we do lose, how do we lose? As you mentioned, in the League Cup game, there were a lot of mitigating circumstances. We should have scored the third goal. We had our chances in that game, but again, we didn't take our chances, and City did, and things on the day did go their way. So I think if we keep a tight game and lose like we did at Man City, we lost 1-0. Saka had a chance, Aubameyang had a chance, Pepe had a chance. And if you don't take your chances and you lose 1-0 like that, I think the fan base will be like, we put up a good fight, good performance. We'll go into Benfica and let's go through the Europa League stage. If it's a cricket score, a 6-0 or 5-0, then I think you'll see an overreaction of, Man City just rolled us over. Arteta hasn't improved us, etc., etc. So yeah. I think it really comes down to, in the flow of the game, how do we do? Are we defensively compact? Do we create chances for ourselves? Do we limit Man City in their chances, or do they just steamroll us? Which I don't think that's the way the game is going to go. I'm more optimistic about the game than most people.
Yeah, I have a weird optimism, but that's just kind of who I am. I think more than anything, I'm always the optimist.
Well, why not be optimistic, right? I mean, I know Man City are on a 17-game win streak, but if you watch the game against Everton, Everton had their chances.
They did.
They could have put the game away. They could have at least gotten a draw out of that game. There were some clear-cut chances that they just fluffed their lines on, and that's why midweek when I commented on the Benfica game, I mentioned we have to take our chances, Tom. Saka's gonna get in. Aubameyang, I have him in my lineup. He's going to get a chance or two, but in order to compete with these big teams, you have to bury those chances and then come to you. We're not Man City that we can create 30 chances. We'll create 10. We'll create 5 clear-cut ones, and we just got to score at least 1 or 2 of them.
Yeah, no, you're spot on, mate. Let's go straight into kind of looking at what we're looking at regarding lineups. I believe Raheel was starting with yours. We are indeed. Talk me through your selection, because you've changed the back two. You've changed who's starting on the left, the number 10. There's no Emile Smith-Rowe. So talk me through your choices.
Yeah, so let's start from the back. And I know I'm sure a lot of people will be a little bit surprised by my choice. But the reason I've chosen Mari and Holding, because do you remember that run we had where we kept like 6 clean sheets in a row? That was the center-back pairing. And I don't know, Mari in the side brings a sense of calmness in the defense with his presence. I think I really, really rate him. And I think it was a really a really good buy, a shrewd business done by Arsenal getting him in. So, and Holding has been, I know he has his limitations. He's not the best center back out there. But when we look at center backs, it's very important to realize that it's more to do with the partnerships rather than the individuals. I mean, you can't just look at the individual themselves. You have to look at partnerships. And I think Holding and Mari have been really good together. And the fact that we have the Benfica game on Thursday, I think David Luiz and Gabriel he's played 3 games in a row since he came back from COVID. So I think he needs a bit of a break as well. David Luiz has also played a few games in a row, and it just brings back bad memories with David Luiz against a big team, giving away penalties and red cards. So I just want to avoid that. And I think we need to rest a few players for the Benfica game. So that's my reasoning behind going with the 2 center backs. Now, I've put in Tierney. Then they're hoping that he is now fit. He got a few minutes on Thursday. To be honest, he didn't look great, but you can understand he's been out for quite a long time. So hopefully this is the game where he can gain back his fitness and his rhythm. In midfield, let's be honest, we don't have many options. And I would much rather have Xhaka Ceballos than Elneny, even though he does a really good job and he did a decent job in bits and pieces coming in. But I can't trust him for 90 minutes. I don't think I can trust Xhaka Ceballos for 90 minutes either. But, they're the best of what we've got at the moment. I mean, if Thomas Partey was there, I think it would be a massive, massive boost. But unfortunately, he's not there. And then going forward, Odegaard, I think he's shown a lot of promise in the last couple of games. He looks like a really quality player. And I think he hasn't even played a lot of minutes. So we need to give him more minutes. And Emile Smith-Rowe needs a rest. I think he looked a lot leggy in the last few games. And playing him on the wide left, I know it worked against Leeds, but I think he's most effective in the center, because when he's playing on the left, we don't have anyone that can carry the ball through the center. So all our attacks are coming from the wings. With Emile Smith-Rowe in the center as a number 10 gives us more options. But I would rather rest him for the Benfica game and give Odegaard more game time. And I know Aubameyang missed a few sitters on Thursday, but the fact that he scored a hat-trick against Leeds, and the fact that we're playing against Man City, we're going to have a lot of the possession. So our main threats will be on the counter-attack, and we need pace. So that's why I've gone for Oba over Lacazette. I mean, Lacazette has been decent in the past few games he's been playing, but because we're playing against City and we're going to have less of the possession, I think we need a really quick front three. So Pepe, Oba, and Saka, I think, will be good for that game. So yeah, that's my reasoning behind my choices, and I'm sure a lot of people will argue with a few And you know what? Arteta has a good headache in a way because he has so many attacking players to choose from now. Do you remember when we were going through that horrific run and no one was scoring or assisting, and we didn't know where we're going to go from there? So now it's a good problem to have because you can see Martinelli. I haven't even mentioned him, and I think he would be really great to bring off the bench. And the fact that I haven't put him in the starting lineup is because he hasn't got enough minutes. Not down to his fault, he just hasn't been selected, and I would have brought him on against Benfica much earlier. I would have even started him maybe, but the fact that he hasn't been playing a lot of football lately, and to just throw him on against City, and the fact that Pepe has been playing so well, and I think it was quite unfortunate that he got benched in the last 2 games. I think this is his chance to come in and hopefully expose Man City's backline, which is quite tough to do.
Yeah, it's interesting you talked about Elneny in there because you'll never guess what Zameer's gone and done. So my first question, Zameer, tell me why Elneny is in this team. Are you on mute? Have you muted?
Yeah,
I think you're on mute, Zameer. There you go.
Yeah, I think last week, Tom, when we talked, I mentioned I was worried about Xhaka and that Xhaka meter kind of going up. And we saw against Benfica, he really struggled in the Benfica game. And the reason I took out Xhaka out of my lineup is not because I think he's not better than Elneny. It's looking ahead to Benfica and then Leicester and then perhaps another Europa League tie and then Burnley. I'd rather have Xhaka in for that stretch of games rather than throwing him against Man City because it feels like he doesn't have the legs to keep up with the Man City midfield. And the reason I put in Elneny is because I feel he's going to be in front of Gabriel and David Luiz and do a lot of the cleanup work. And that will free up Ceballos and Odegaard in my lineup to kind of thread those passes through to the front three of Pepe, Oba, and Saka. So I know people aren't too thrilled to see Elneny in the lineup, but I just feel he has the legs because you'll have maybe De Bruyne will start. You have Foden, you have Sterling. Like they're going to be dragging the back four quite a bit, and I feel Elneny in there is going to just provide some more solidity than Xhaka.
You've not gone for Tierney. I sense that's to do with kind of prediction more than desire.
No, I would love to have Kieran Tierney back in, but watching those 15 minutes he played against Benfica, I'm not too sure I want to put him in against Riyad Mahrez in his first full game back. So I'd rather put him back against Benfica on Thursday for the full 90 minutes. So I think as I mentioned early on, Arteta I think will keep the same back four. With Leno, and I think he's trying to go for a consistent lineup with 1 or 2 changes.
That's fair enough. I think that my lineup's slightly different. I'm the only person that's actually gone for Lacazette up top. I'll start with that. The reason why, it's nothing to do with Aubameyang's form. It's purely down to my thinking around the kind of game that we're going to be up against. City are going to be in domination of the possession. That's pretty much a nailed-on thought. And I know that Aubameyang did really well against City in the Cup last year, but that was a different system in the 3-4-3, and he was playing wide at that time. I think that Lacazette, what he offers us is a guy that's going to come deep. He's going to play deeper, going to pick up the ball in deeper areas and try and utilise the wide places with Pepe and Saka. So I've gone with Laka for that reason. I'll be throwing Aubameyang straight back in the team for Benfica on Thursday. It's purely because I just think we're going to be out of possession, and Aubameyang tends, when playing centrally against the big six, to become very isolated. And so that's why I've gone with Lacazette in that area. I think I'm the only one with Luiz at the back. I've gone for Luiz.
I have Luiz.
Did you put Luiz as well, Zameer?
Yeah, I think I kept Luiz.
Yes, you did. Sorry, that's my bad. I've put Luiz in there because I think that the communication between him and Gabriel is strong. It forms a good partnership. I was listening to the Arsenal Vision podcast, and I think it was Clive that was saying that those two are arguably our best centre-back pairing at the moment. I might be wrong, so sorry, Clive, if I got that wrong. I've gone for Tierney and Cedric, more over hope than expectation, again, regarding what Zameer was saying about whether or not Tierney's the right man. The 15 minutes against Benfica didn't look great, if we're being very honest. They didn't look great at all. And you're hoping that he comes into this game having got those 15 minutes and been better. I have a weird feeling that even if Tierney is fit, Bellerin could still start. Arteta does tend to favour the Spaniard. I'm hoping he goes for Cedric. I think he's the better of the two in terms of form right now, not in terms of what quality they have on paper. Ceballos and Xhaka's partnership, I think, needs to continue. I feel like if it was Elneny, like you've gone for Zameer with Ceballos, it's quite open. If it was with Xhaka, I might be a little bit more on board with that for the defensive solidity side of things. I feel like with Ceballos and Elneny, you've got more opportunity to City to kind of open us up, if that makes sense. And I've agreed with both of you in thinking that Emile Smith-Rowe needs a rest and Ødegaard needs to come in this game. Pepe on the left-hand side. I was very close to putting Martinelli in for seeing how good Martinelli was against City in the quarterfinal of the League Cup when he came back and how much he pressed them and really kind of turned the screw in that game. Saka's just undroppable. It's just, yeah. I know we talk about like the need to rest him, and I guess that's kind of the topic that will. Oh, it's just me. I guess that's the kind of topic that we'll come on to next. Is Raheel? I want to get your thoughts on. Saka is so undroppable and so good, and clearly our best player. We will need to rest him at some point, probably. But when is the question? When are we going to
don't know. I really don't know, because now it's crunch time and every game is so important. I also had that thought. I'm like, Saka has played so many games, and every game, he's been targeted because, let's be honest, he's our best player this season by far, especially in the attacking sense. So I honestly, Tom, I don't know when do we rest him, because I don't think we can rest him against Benfica, because we need to get through that tie, and then the next game is Leicester. Can we rest him then? So I'm hoping that whatever the result is tomorrow, that in against Benfica, we can do the job in the first half and then maybe rest him for the second half, take him off. That's the only time I can see him getting some sort of rest, because Saka is so important on that right-hand side. I mean, he's created or scored in our last 5-6 games like consistently. So without him, we're going to be very, very lackluster in going forward, because he's such a crucial part in our attack. So the only time, like I said, I think he might be rested is if we do well against Benfica in the first half, and then you can bring him out and give it someone else half an hour to 45 minutes. But apart from that, I can't see him being rested anytime soon. And yeah, because we don't have many options on that right-hand side. Because if Saka comes off, who goes there? Pepe. But we've seen Pepe does really well on the left rather than the right-hand side. And then the second option, I'm sure a lot of you don't want to hear this, but will be Willian, which I think no one wants to see playing at the right-hand side. So, yeah, we don't have many options on the right-hand side, to be honest. So we have to go with Saka.
Before we go to get your predictions, Pep Guardiola, Zameer, spoke in midweek about Arteta quite heavily, to the point where he was saying that he sees Arsenal being possible title contenders in the next few years. Obviously, a lot of people will put that down to his relationship with Arteta, having previously worked together. How much truth, how much legitimacy is there in those words from Pep, do you think?
Yeah, I think there is truth and legitimacy from Pep's perspective. I think he really does trust Arteta to bring us back into one of the top clubs in England. And I think, if Arteta were to ever leave Arsenal, I think City would take him back in a heartbeat if Pep were to leave. Just to show you the amount of faith I think Pep has in Arteta. That being said, that only happens if we invest wisely and give Arteta a good squad to work with, which is, signing a attacking midfielder in the window, upgrading the right back position, getting Partey a partnership, and keeping Partey fit. Like, those are the things that are going to propel us. Because I think tactically people can see what Arteta brings to the table and how he wants the team to play. The thing is, we've been putting square pegs in round holes for so long. There's no consistency behind it. So I think Pep's words, I think he does believe in Arteta. But again, I think if we beat Man City on Sunday, that'd be a great way for Arteta to come in.
Man. Some people would look very silly. very, very silly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So, I mean, go in with the belief, right? Back the team, back the manager. We're at home. We haven't beaten City in 6 years. Like, it's time. It's time we put in a performance and really get at them.
Yeah, I don't want to see us go out there and be necessarily really defensive and absorb pressure. I want to see us try and be as expressive as possible, because the thing about Man City is that Everton looked like they could rock them because they pushed and they tried to get a result in that game. They weren't able to do it. Obviously, not having their main striker, Calvert-Lewin, was a big kind of lackluster part of their game. And obviously they lost, I think it was Yerry Mina as well partway through the game, and Seamus Coleman had to come on, who I actually thought had a really good game after he came on. But they didn't have the run of the luck in that match, and I don't think many teams have against City this season, and Arsenal haven't really had a lucky season whatsoever, but maybe it will turn in this game. I'm going to ask you boys for a prediction in just a second, so get scheming about what you're going to go for. In the chat, Kian says 3-1 Arsenal, Bellerin, Martinelli and Saka. Of course he goes to Bellerin, of course. Yonik, our resident negative Nelly, says 3-1 to Manchester City. Eli says 2-0. Wilson says 3-1 City. Danielle says, being very positive, 1-1. Omar says 1-3 to Manchester City. Arsenal being very generous, by the way, there, and still losing, but very generous. Or is he saying 3-1 Arsenal? I think if he is, that's very generous. We are at home. The scoreline order threw me off. He's actually already turned that around saying generous to 3-1 City. So there you go. Steve Stone says hopeful with a 1-1. Carol Bailey, a good long-term listener of the show, says 2-2. I'm being optimistic. It's good to have optimism, Carol. It always is. Pablo says 2-1 to the Arsenal. Thomas from Norway says 4-0 Arsenal, but I have no research to back this up. Eza says 4-1 to the Arsenal. Thibaut Pesk says 2-0 City, and Mattino says 5-1 Arsenal. 5-1 Arsenal, or for City not to score, I think he means. Anyway, let's get your predictions. Raheel first. What are you going for?
Oh, this is not going to be good. I wish I was positive, but I'm just a realist, so I have to go, unfortunately, with City. I'm going for a 2-0 to City. Yeah, I hate that, and I hope I'm wrong. I really, really hope I'm wrong. But the fact that City have only conceded 15 goals this season, I think it's 15. That's ridiculous. And the fact that we haven't been taking our chances. So, yeah, I see them keeping a clean sheet, and we haven't beaten them in years. And I hope I'm wrong. I really do. Yeah. But I always like being realistic. I mean, if we were playing someone else, I would have definitely gone for an Arsenal win. But because where City are at this point in time, yeah, I'm going for a 2-0 City win. I really, really hope I'm wrong, and I have to eat my words.
Me too. But no, I respect your honesty, and I think it's certainly not far-fetched to suggest that in any sense of the words. Zameer, what about you, son?
I'm going for a 2-1 Arsenal win. Being optimistic. The reason I don't think Aubameyang has ever scored against City in the league. He scored in the FA Cup, but I don't think he's ever scored in the league. We're at home. The pitch is in favor of both teams. I think it's up to the boys now. Like, Arteta's going to set us up right. I believe that he's going to put out whatever lineup he feels is going to get at City. When we lost at the Etihad, it was fine margins. I think this game is going to go the same way. 1-0, and it was just that Sterling goal, but Saka had a chance to equalize, and I think our boys need to turn around.
As well, I think, had a chance.
Yeah.
Glancing chance. I mean, Pepe had a header he just put wide. So let's get at them. Let's play aggressive, press from the front, play with intensity, and hopefully let's go get that win.
I am going to be the optimist as always. I was going to say I'm going to be optimistic and say 1-1, but I am going to be optimistic and agree with Zameer and say 2-1 to the Arsenal. With the Cedric Screamer, of course, is becoming the TGT prediction this season. So let's see if anyone else was chipping in. Saeed says 0-0. The Intellectual Investor says 2-1 Arsenal, and says, what the hell? 2-0 to the Arsenal all the way. Jashar says Arsenal 0, Manchester City 3. Our midfield is going to get overrun. And Thomas from Norway says maybe the low expectations will help our players let it rip during the game. A Beyblade reference.
Well, we do play better when we're the underdogs, so I'm hoping that's the case, because in the FA Cup semi and final, no one gave us a chance. And then, like, if you look back I'm just looking at the FA Cups. When we played Hull, we went to extra time. When we played Chelsea and City, we beat them in normal time. So when the expectation is on Arsenal to win, we normally don't do that well. So I'm hoping the underdogs come through and we win. or draw at least.
Fingers crossed we can get a result in the game. If you are watching and you've enjoyed the preview, and even if you haven't, please still drop a like on the video. And most importantly, go give these guys a follow. You can find Raheel at Raheel at Durrani. Thank you so much, mate. I appreciate your time.
Thanks a lot, Tom. Thanks for having me. And
No problem.
cheers. Great chat, Zameer.
No problem at all. Make sure you check out the Football Talk as well, which is Raheel's channel too. So a lot of great stuff going over there. And of course, NYC Gooner 34 on Twitter is Zameer. Thank you very much, mate. Appreciate your time, son.
Always happy to be on, Tom, and Raheel, good to have you on.
Cheers, mate.
All good in the hood. We will see you again very, very soon, straight after the game, of course. And I will be joining you for the watch along if you want to see two men bicker for 90 minutes, of course. Lots of hipster choices for top 3 Arsenal players ever. Supposedly Liam Brady is a hipster choice, whatever. We'll move forward to that. Fingers crossed we can get a good result against City, and we'll see you again very, very soon. And as always, up the Arsenal.